So today what we have is a new capture pack that I purchased from Amalgam. This is the Two Rock Silver Sterling Signature. So this is a great kind of clean amp, pedal platform kind of amp. When we look at the list of captures, you'll see that the majority of them are clean or edge of breakup. There's some crunch and drive and even one lead, but even the lead capture doesn't have a lot of gain on it. We'll hear that in a little bit. You can see we've got our different EQ types, and we'll go through those when we're checking them out. All of these captures are using cabs included. So again, no DI captures here. We won't be using any IRs or any cab blocks today. Everything's built into the capture. One thing you'll notice is there's no description of what the cabs are. On the Marshall capture pack that I got, there was a description down below about the different cabs that were used. So I don't know what the difference is between cab and cab 2, but I guess we'll just have to try to listen to it and find out. So let's switch over to the Cortex control application and check out how these captures sound. Now, I've already created this preset with some of the captures included. If you're interested in the process about how you go about getting shared captures from the Cortex cloud into Cortex control and being able to use them in a preset, I walked through that whole process in the video I just did on the Marshall capture pack. I'll link to that here. So you can go watch that and see the whole process about how you get the captures out of Cortex cloud and into Cortex control and use them in a preset. But I didn't want to repeat that here, so I just kind of pre-created this preset for our use. And one thing I'll say is I do have the overall volume of the preset being pushed a little bit. These captures tend to be a little quiet in my mind, and so pushing them here keeps me from having to adjust each capture as I'm checking it out. I do have some of the volumes on the captures pushed, the clean and the edge, because I found that these were quieter than the other ones, and I needed to balance the volumes between them. So you can see the clean, I'm pushing 4, the edge I'm pushing 3 dB, but the crunch and the lead I'm not pushing at all. And in terms of the setup down here, I'm running in hybrid mode. So we've got scenes on the bottom, stomp on the top. We've got 4 scenes, a clean, an edge, a crunch, and a lead. And those correspond to the 4 different captures you see here. And then I do have one drive pedal up front. This is a Archer Icon. This is a capture that I created. There's a set of these on my Cortex Cloud account. You can go grab them if you like it. But this is a kind of a mid-focused clone. And we'll use this on some of the captures to see how they sound. The other thing I'll say is I do have a low high cut running. Generally, I run a high cut pretty frequently, just to cut off things over that 6K mark, because I think that makes it sound a little more natural. I think you can get some kind of artificial top end a little bit if you don't do that. But also I found that with these captures that include cabs from Amalgam, I need to do a little bit of a low cut because they can get a little boomy on the bottom end. So right now I'm cutting at 120 Hertz. I think for the Marshall packs, I was cutting at 150 Hertz or so. So that's why that's here. Then I've got a little bit of ambience on the back end. So we've got tape delay, mixes at 15%, so pretty low. Same thing, I have a plateless reverb, mix at 15%. So I didn't want to overwhelm it with ambience, but I wanted some ambience here. But I wanted it dry enough that we could hear the captures. So let's start with the clean tones. Now you notice I am pushing the volume of the clean capture a little bit. That's because in addition to all the captures being quiet, the clean and the edge too were a little quieter than the other captures. So I'm just mixing the volumes here to keep the captures generally the same. So here's the clean tone, and I went with the warm 2. That was the one I found just kind of had the nice fullness that I wanted. The warm sounds good as well. One, you'll notice when I switch over the different capture, it negates that volume. I wish you would keep that the same, but anyway. Just a little more mids in the 1-2. A little fuller. The fat sounds good as well. But again, I just kind of landed on the warm 2 as my favorite. They're all very similar. Let's go ahead and set this back to 4. And if we kick it with the archer icon, even do an in-between position. So it takes the pedal really well. So let's switch over and check out the edge of Breakup. So for this one, once again, I'm on the warm. I tend to, on the amalgam captures I find, for the clean and edge of Breakup, I always end up with the warm setting. And then once I get into more gain, like with a crunch or drive or lead, then you'll see that I'll start to switch more towards the balanced. But for the edge of Breakup, again, I like the warm. So really nice edge of Breakup. There's this balanced one. Again, I just think the warm. And one thing you notice here, every time I switch over to try one out, it says it's auditioning up here, and then I can just hit escape and it goes back. But one thing it doesn't do is reestablish my volume change. And then I can kick this with the archer icon as well. So again, taking the pedal really well. I'm liking that quite a bit. So let's check out crunch. So for the crunch, you can see here I went back to the balanced. I know the warm just felt like it was a little muffled. I feel like the balance just has a little more clarity. And then even this one, even with more gain. Again, takes that pedal real nice. And then last but not least, lead. So in this one, I ended up using the one that was named lead, and because this is the one that has the most gain. So this has the most gain on it, and if you look at the configuration, you can see it's even running a pedal. I'm not sure what this pedal is. This MIN pedal, they don't really tell you what that is. Obviously the 808, we know what that is, but the other ones I'm not entirely sure. They don't explain. But a nice big full tone. There are the drive ones. So this warm drive with the 808. It's a nice tone there as well, as is this fat. So all of them are nice and kind of different, but I ended up going with the lead because it does have more gain on it. And even if you want to kick it with more gain. So again, even at that high gain level, really what we're doing here is we're stacking two overdrive pedals. So this overdrive pedal into whatever this is into the amp at gain 8. So we're stacking quite a few there, but it still sounds nice and clear. It has some good overtones to it. I like it quite a bit. So I think these captures, if you're looking for that kind of lower gain, clean platform, take some pedals on the front, I think this is a great option. It really does well. The drive sounds from the amp sound good, but I think like in the real world, the captures really shine when you start to put other pedals in front of them. So even if you're using not only pedals in the Quad Cortex, but if you were to put, I think, other pedals in front of it, real pedals in front of the Quad Cortex, I think you'd find that they're reacting well. So I think this is a great option if you're looking for kind of a great clean platform sound out of the Quad Cortex. So if you like this, I would encourage you to go grab this pack. I mean, this is one of the essential packs, so they're not very expensive. This one, I think it's 15 pounds on its own. And usually, at least lately, Amalgam's been running specials to where if you buy two, you get one for free. And that's what I did. So I bought 3 packs for basically $30. And so it ends up being about $10 or $11 a piece. So I think that's a good value. You're getting high quality captures here. And they're really useful for getting a lot of these tones. And they're just kind of plug them in, go, and they work. Again, the only caveat I would give is that these captures that use the cabs, I do feel the need personally to put this low cut on here to kind of curtail some of that low end boominess that I feel it gets. But you may find different, depending on how you're running the Quad Cortex. Are you going straight into studio monitors like I am, or are you running into more of, like, say, a power stage into a cabinet? Maybe it's not as bad. But for me, running into studio monitors, I felt like I needed to cut some of the low frequencies out. But other than that, they work really well and they sound really good. So if you're looking for this kind of sound, go check it out. Again, as always, thanks for watching.